I am Sunil Dutt from Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Delhi. In this lesson, I will be speaking to you about comparative public administration's different approaches. To begin with, we will be doing the bureaucratic approach to public administration. Let us start with introduction. The origin of the term bureaucracy is not entirely very clear, with some insisting that it originated from the French word bureaucrat. However, as a subject for scholars, the term is primarily associated with the German social scientist Max Weber in 1947. In this unit, we shall examine the meaning of bureaucracy, its characteristics, and how the approach can be used to analyze and compare bureaucracies of two or more countries. Max Weber gave the ideal type model of bureaucracy. It is not to be found in practice. For Weber, bureaucracy is a corollary to large organizations. Here, the over specialized division of labor means that some must have the right to control and direct the activities of others. In order to make such control effective, it must be seen as legitimate. Such a legitimate control is called authority by Weber. Weber distinguished between three kinds of legitimacy or authority: traditional, rational legal, and charismatic. The form of organization corresponding to rational legal authority is called bureaucracy. Surprisingly, Weber never defined the term bureaucracy. However, it is clear from this model that he meant it to be a form of organization, a design for conduct of public administration. How we define meaning of bureaucracy? The concept of bureaucracy has been used in so many different ways that it is difficult to provide acceptable meaning of this term. In the field of sociology, bureaucracy has been understood as particular type of organization, as a system of administration rather than a system of government. In social sciences, bureaucracy is usually understood as a mode of organization. Modern political analysts, however, use the term bureaucracy to mean the administrative machinery of the state. The bureaucrats, being non-elected state officials or civil servants who may or may not be subject of political control. Bureaucracy can also be used as a general invective to refer to any efficient organization encumbered by red tapeism. Then what are the reasons for rise of bureaucracy? To quote Weber, the development of the money economy insofar as pecuniary compensation of the officials is concerned is a presupposition of bureaucracy. A stable system of taxation is a precondition for the permanent existence of bureaucratic administration. A second prerequisite of bureaucratic growth was the demand for a larger middle class for the benefits of mass democracy, especially for social and economic equality. To quote Weber, bureaucracy inevitably accompanies modern mass democracy. The abstract regularity of the execution of authority, which is a result of the demand for equality before the law and the principled rejection of doing business from case to case basis. But these, in Weber's view, were not the cause of bureaucratic ascendancy in the modern state. The real cause could be traced to the human motivations springing from what Weber called the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. Now, what is Protestant ethic? Protestant ethic was instrumental in bringing about a revolution in human existential conditions, and capitalism advanced on the principle of survival of the fittest in the marketplace. In the face of fierce economic competition, capitalist enterprises needed a highly efficient organizational form. Emergence of complex administrative problems, modern means of communication, growth of rationalism and population were other reasons for growth of bureaucracy. Now, what are the features of bureaucracy? Number one, the regular activities needed to achieve the goals of organization are divided. then these regular activities needed to achieve the goals of organization are subdivided among the officials as their formal duties. A complex task is thus subdivided into a number of smaller manageable jobs. This also ensures specialization and hence rationality. Third, the organization of offices follows the principle of hierarchy. Thus, a chain of command and responsibility is established in this process. Fourth, operations of the bureaucracy are governed by a set of abstract rules and their application to particular cases. These rules define the manner in which each task is to be done and thus limit discretion of the officials. Number 5, a bureaucrat performs these functions in a spirit of formalistic impersonality without hatred or passion. All people, rather clients, are treated equally. And number 6, appointments are made on the basis of specialist knowledge. Once appointed, the bureaucrat's occupation constitutes a career. 7th, his job is the sole or at least his major source of income. Number 8, promotions are based on seniority or on merit or both. The official is remunerated in cash and is also entitled to a pension. 9, there is a strict separation of official and personal lives of bureaucrats. He does not own any part of the organization and does not use his official position to further his private business ends. Number 10, bureaucratic work is conducted using a system of desks and files. This ensures that all records can be checked later. Number 11, official is engaged in the performance of impersonal duties of his office. Personally, he is free. 12, Weber believed that such a bureaucracy is rational, efficient, stable and predictable. Now, what are the theories behind this? First theory is theory of domination or types of authority. Weber discussed bureaucracy as a sociological phenomenon. His thoughts about bureaucracy need to be understood in the more general context of the theory of domination. Domination refers to a power relationship between the rulers and the ruled. Power is the probability that one will be in a position to carry out on his own will despite resistance, while authority is the probability that a command will be obeyed by a group of people. Thus, authority is characterized by legitimacy, that is voluntary obedience by subordinates. It is synonymous to authoritarian power of command and he called it domination. He stated that all administration means domination. Weber identified 3 types of legitimacy, each corresponding to a particular type of domination. First, charismatic domination. Charisma means gift of grace. By virtue of possession of charisma or an exceptional quality of a hero or a leader casts a spell over his followers who accept his domination because of their faith in that person. Here, the administrative apparatus is very loose and unstable. Administration consists of the most faithful followers. It breaks down when the leader dies or when the charismatic qualities of the leader decline. Weber suggested institutionalization of the charismatic authority. Secondly, traditional domination. The legitimation in this form comes from his belief in the goodness of the past and in the appropriateness of traditional ways of doing things. This kind of patrimonial authority receives ready obedience because of a peculiar faith in traditional status and personal loyalty to the dominant person. Here, administration consists of the personal retainers, servants and relatives. Under feudal system, the feudal lords interpose between the king and the people, which constitute the administration. Number 3, legal domination. Legitimization of legal type of domination is based on the belief in rightness of law. The administration corresponding to this kind of domination is bureaucracy. The position of the bureaucrat, his relations with the ruler, The ruled and his colleagues are regulated by impersonal rules. These rules delineate in a rational way, that is, the hierarchy, the rights and duties of every position and the methods of recruitment, promotion and other conditions of the service. Weber believed that such a bureaucracy is rational, efficient, stable and predictable. The system is called rational because in the means are expressly designed to achieve certain specific ends. It is legal because authority is exercised by means of a system of rules and procedures. Only the head of the bureaucratic organization occupies this position by virtue of appropriation, election or succession. The whole administrative staff under the head of the organization consists of appointed individual officials. Control over bureaucracy. What are the controlling factor over bureaucracy? A fully developed bureaucracy, according to Weber, is among those social structures which are the hardest to destroy. As an instrument of socializing relations of power, bureaucracy is practically unshatterable. The individual bureaucrat is reduced to a single cog in an ever-moving mechanism which prescribes to him an essentially fixed route of march. Weber admitted that normally the power position of a fully developed bureaucracy was everywhere overpowering. The political master is no match for the expert bureaucrat. The concept of the official secret is an innovation of bureaucracy, as it tries to hide its knowledge and actions from criticism. Bureaucracy, I quote, naturally welcomes a poorly informed and hence a powerless parliament, at least in so far as ignorance somehow agrees with the bureaucracy's interests. In his essay, Parliament and Government in the newly organized Germany, which was published in 1918, Weber wrote explicitly on the problem of Beamenskraft or rule by officials, which in his view was different from bureaucracy. Weber was therefore considering a number of mechanisms for limiting the scope of bureaucracy. 5 mechanisms suggested by Weber, identified by Albro in Weber's writings are, I will point them out one by one: collegiality, involvement of more than one person in decision making. Weber referred to several forms of collegiality: Roman consulate, British cabinet, senates and parliaments. However, he also pointed out its disadvantages in terms of speed of decision and fixing of responsibility. Second controlling factor, separation of powers, which means dividing responsibility for the same function between 2 or more bodies. Weber referred to the compromise over the budget, which historically had to be reached by the British monarch and parliament. Such a system, in Weber's view, is inherently unstable. The third controlling factor is amateur administration, a situation when the government does not pay its administrators and depends upon those who have the resources. This system is no match for administration by professionals and experts under conditions of modern society. Then direct democracy, another controlling factor. It may take many forms such as short term of office, selection by lot and possibility of recall. It places officials under the guidance of an assembly to ensure their accountability to the people. Fifth control is representative bodies. Their members are selected by vote and are free to make decisions and share in authority over those who elect them. It was through this medium that Weber saw the greatest possibility of a check on bureaucrats. He believed that only strong parliamentary control can remove the demerits of the system. Bureaucrats should be made directly accountable to Parliament by means of parliamentary committees. Weber argued that drawing in lot of economic interest groups or the establishment of local, interlocal or central parliamentary or other representative bodies seem to run directly against the bureaucratic tendency. There are hints of possible debureaucratization in a polity that develops countervailing institutions and associational groups. Clearly then, Weber's views on bureaucracy are ambivalent. On the one hand, he recognized it as technically superior and said bureaucracy was essential for modern organization, while on the other hand, he sees it as a threat to responsible government. Now, we will have a look at the advantages of bureaucracy. Weber was convinced of the technical superiority of bureaucracy as compared to other forms of organization. Number 1, a specialist skill developed to achieve organizational goals. Secondly, a set of rules designed to further those goals. Number 3, exclusion of personal factors from work. And for these reasons, tasks in a bureaucracy were performed with greater precision, speed and efficiency, and at lower costs with less friction between various units. At the same time, he was also aware of its limitations. Standardization led to suppression of creativity and initiative. Secondly, the impersonality of conduct produces specialists without spirit. Third, bureaucrats soon became preoccupied with and dependent on the security provided by uniformity and order. Fourthly, bureaucrats soon get trapped in the monotony of their specialized routine with little awareness of the overall organization. Since bureaucracy is trained to follow orders, it could be directed towards any end. 6. Since they are trained to conduct routine of operations, they would be ineffective in times of crisis. 7. Top bureaucrats are likely to be swayed by pressures of capitalist interests. Next, vis-a-vis the layman, the practical master, bureaucrats are expert, so they can control the former. Weber believed that only strong parliamentary control can remove these demerits. Bureaucrats should be made directly accountable to Parliament by means of parliamentary committees. He recognized it as technically superior and said it was essential for modern organization. On the other hand, he sees it as a threat to responsible government. To the critics, bureaucracy was efficient for certain kinds of repetitive tasks. It no longer works so well because its rules and procedures are often dramatically opposed to the principles needed for workers to take the next step towards greater organizational intelligence. To them, the changing nature of work has made bureaucratic model unrealistic. Number 1, hierarchical chain of command cannot handle complexity of work of modern organization. Again, domination is not the best way to get organization tasks done. In modern organizational context, visions and values, teamwork, self-managing, lateral coordination, informal network, choices and free enterprise have replaced hierarchical chain of command. Secondly, specialization by function does not provide intensive cross-functional communication and continual peer-level coordination. In modern organization, multi-skilling, specialist and entrepreneuring organization, in market, medial networks, teamwork, lateral communication and collaboration have replaced specialization of organization by functions. Number 3, uniform rules. Though organization still need rules, but needs different rules that would guarantee that right of employees and institutions of freedom and community, like say in social responsibility. 4, standardized procedure. It responds slowly to change. Bureaucracy does not deal well with complexity or foster interconnections. In modern organization, self-direction, self-management, force of the market and ethical community have come to replace standardized rules. 5th, professional career. Fewer managers need and more educated workforce expects promotions. Therefore, there is not enough room for advancements. In modern organization, there is group need for competence, group network to get more work done and more pay for more capabilities. 6, impersonal relations. Information intensive jobs require in-depth relationships. There is a need now for personal relationships to enable a choice between options and alternatives that will facilitate results. The nature of work in modern high-tech workplace calls on people to marry positions in the organization to take responsibility for processes and services that intimately affect the customer and the wider communities. Even in small service business and government agencies, the goods and services produced are knowledge and information intensive by virtue of the skills and intelligence of the people with their hands on the work processes. What is bureaucracy and comparative public administration? Despite all these criticisms, scholars are yet to find real substitute for bureaucratic approach. Bureaucracy in a political system offers the large scale complex administrative capacities for performing government duties. Inherent in bureaucracy is the existence of certain organizational features and behavioral traits of the participants known as bureaucrats. Administrative roles are highly specialized or differentiated and hierarchical relationships thoroughly understood. The same is for bureaucracy as professionals who are salaried and have tenured status whose service will not be terminated subject to laid down procedures. However, given the fact that bureaucracies interact with the political system, that is, the external control usually emanates from the legitimate political authority, it is expected that the political subtypes even amongst modernized polities will exert some variations on the bureaucracies. The Weberian bureaucratic model applies essentially to the countries of the Western Europe, most of which epitomize developed or modern politics. Hence, as one moves away from the core Western countries to Russia and more communist Europe, the model becomes less applicable, although it is still useful for the purposes of comparison. Riggs in 1964 also noted the inadequacies expected in applying the Weberian model of ideal type bureaucracy to developing countries of the world. This is because of ecological problems. According to him, it can be used to compare bureaucracies of developed countries like USA, Britain, France, Germany, etc., because of the relative similarities in the ecology and culture of their regions. Now, to sum up the whole lesson, you can say the bureaucratic theory was one of the easiest theories of organization, earliest theories of organization. This theory was popularized by the German sociologist Max Weber. To understand an organization, one need to understand the procedures and activities of bureaucracy, since bureaucracy gives meaning to organization. Weber's bureaucratic model was intended to be an ideal construct. This ideal type of bureaucracy is the starting point and not the end of organizational analysis and comparison. However, Weber's bureaucratic model is most useful for comparison between two or more developed countries because of their ecology and culture. So, in this lesson we have seen that there is a distinct and well defined approach to bureaucracy which was suggested by Max Weber, and it has stood test of the time. Many countries, many organizations are still continuing with it, although it has come under heavy criticism also. Now, I will put some questions based on the above lesson. Number 1, discuss the utility of bureaucratic approach comparative to the public administration. Second, evaluate the Max Weber contributions to the ideal type of bureaucracy.